Welcome to America's #1 Cincinnati-based museum podcast. Meanwhile, at the museum, the show that takes you behind the scenes of Cincinnati Museum Center and beyond. Over there on the ones and twos, we have our producer, Magic Mitch.
Hey, hey.
I'm your host, Cody Hefner, and today we are joined by the man who puts the IT in It Girl, Jason Perkins, our Vice President of Technology.
Technology, yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Yours is an easy title.
That's an easy one. One word after VP.
It's so straightforward.
It's also all-encompassing to make sure I take care of all the technology.
All of technology. Mm-hmm. So this happens in offices a lot. Whoever sits closest to the copier is the copy person. Like they're the one like, hey, do you know why this isn't printing? Why does it keep saying this? And like, they just learn how to fix it. Like they're the copy whisperer.
So they get the foot traffic because they're closest to it.
Did you get your role because you sat closest to the servers?
You know, that's actually not completely off in my history of career, not necessarily here.
Okay, yeah.
When I first started my career in technology, the one word, description of my job apparently, it was at Cincinnati Millercron, and I was really a graphic designer that literally sat near the servers and near the printers, and I did just start helping everyone in the room with it. And then it sort of converted to an IT position.
You were tucked away in the basement, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bomb shelter of Cincinnati Millercon. Yes.
Really?
There was they have a sub-level and then a bomb shelter. We were sort of in the sub-level, but part of our organization was in the bomb shelter portion. At least that's the rumor.
Why did Cincinnati Millercron have a bomb shelter?
I'm assuming because they were a target.
Top secret technology?
Well, they created the machines that created machines that built machines, and a lot of the time that was airplanes and fuselage parts and
tanks and
I'm assuming. I mean, I don't have all their trade secrets.
Jeeps, maybe. You know what's fun about Jeeps is, have you seen D-Day Normandy 1944? That Omnimax film?
I have.
And there's a whole section on the Jeep and how it's like this workhorse that helped win World War II, which is completely true.
Shout out Toledo.
Toledo.
Oh.
What's the story with Toledo?
Yeah,
that's where Jeeps are from.
Is that Jeeps are? Oh, I didn't realize that.
Jeeps are from Toledo, Ohio.
Are they really?
Yep.
Wow.
Is that where they originated, or they're just manufactured?
Okay, I don't know the exact history, but yes, Jeeps are from Toledo. They were manufactured in Toledo. Still are today.
All right.
Well, I'll be waiting for Mitch to then chime in and correct himself, because I know this podcast, and if the facts are wrong, he'll tell us.
Short story, yes, Jeeps were made in Toledo during World War II and are still made there today. There's a longer story, but the gist of it is that Toledo-based Willis Overland Motors finalized the design of the World War II Jeep and produced the majority of them. Detroit-based Ford also produced several 100,000 Jeeps for the war effort to the Willis specifications. Today, Jeep is owned by multinational corporation Stellantis, but the cars are still produced in Toledo, Ohio, as well as by a few licensed manufacturers globally.
Mitch is a man of integrity, all right? It's for being someone who does magic, who is skilled in deception, he's a man of integrity. Have you seen Mitch do magic?
No, I have not. This is new to me. Why have I not heard of this before?
I don't have one loaded. I don't got one ready to go.
Is there an audio appropriate magic trick?
I do audio magic every time. You just don't hear it.
Good
the
one.
magic is what you don't hear. That's right. But so, all right, Jeeps, which are made in Toledo, shout out to our border city on the north.
Where did this go?
I don't know. It's been so long. You know what? Just forget it. Anyway, so you were in the bomb shelter at Millercron.
I was at the bomb shelter, yes.
And I want to back up a little bit because I did make a crack that you got your job just by sitting near enough to it. But you're incredibly talented. And you're very good at it. And you're about to tell us where all that knowledge comes from. Go on.
I was? I don't know if I remember where all that knowledge comes.
We were discussing, we're both slow thinkers but fast talkers. So
yes. Get ourselves into trouble.
Get halfway through the podcast and our minds are starting to catch up with where we're at.
Honestly, self-taught. I mean, it really didn't come from a degree. I was a commercial arts major. Like, I went into graphic design. That was where...
Commercial arts? Is that what they call
it? They called it commercial arts back... Oh, now you're showing my age. Before it was graphic design, it was called commercial arts, and there was a lot of like drawing, building diagrams and things like that. But it was also printed material and designing for print. So it wasn't really. I mean, there was nothing web at the time when I was taking classes for graphics.
But like, were you graphicking on a computer or just by hand?
No, on a drafting board. You tape down your material. You have a T-square. You would have a triangle. You would get your perspective lines off into the distance correctly at the focal point. Whatever
Are you a
that's called.
sneaky good artist?
No, I'm too rusty to say that I'm a sneaky good artist at this
Really?
time. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm trouble when we're playing Pictionary. I would probably tilt the favor towards my team, but I don't think that I'm professional at all anymore.
Do you draw? Do you doodle?
I do. Oh yeah, I still do.
What was your all right? So did you always have a thing for art, for drawing?
This is going to go everywhere.
I know.
And nowhere all at once. I
want to know. I don't want to know the man. I want to know the artist.
Well, since I was a grade schooler, the artist. Since I was a grade schooler, I actually wanted to be a cartoonist, and obviously there's that comic book connection of you want to be a comic artist. Everyone kind of wants to be. But I soon found out when I went into commercial arts that I was nowhere near the talent of some of these illustrators out there. So this was right at the time when desktop publishing was coming into fashion. So I was working on Macs with black and white monitors and working in early Photoshop version 2.5, Illustrator version 88. They called it Illustrator 88. It was one of the early versions before they started doing version numbers.
You were getting into Microsoft Paint and messing around? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm still a big Paint guy.
Yeah, Paint's great. I literally would sit in computer shops and work in Paint.
Do you remember Mario Paint?
I do. I didn't use it much though, but I do know what you're talking about.
It was on Super Nintendo, right?
Yep,
and
yep.
it was a game. You got a mouse with it.
Yeah. Yes, you did.
And one of the things you had to drag the mouse around and swat flies with the fly swatter.
Yeah.
But you could also draw.
Yeah.
Supposedly. So.
Yeah, you could. Like little pixel art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Mitch, if you ever wonder where my Microsoft Paint acumen comes from, it is thanks to Mario.
I want to test the age in the room since we were talking about messing around with drawing on screen. Do you remember when Radio Shacks were everywhere?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember that did you ever go into a store and see on screen where someone wrote their name or Jason is awesome and it would just be scrolling down the screen all over the screen?
Yes.
I was definitely doing that in every store I went into. They would let you have access to BASIC, which was a line-by-line programming language, and you had to write the number of the line, 10, and then the command, 20, the command. And you'd go 10, 20, 30, 40 because if you realized you missed something, you would need to put a 15 in there between lines because it was a linear programming language. So and to this day I know it's 10, print whatever your message is, 20 go to 10, and then 30 run. And then when you would run that, it would scroll your name over and over and over and over. So you would go to all the computers and write your name and history, and it would just all day would be scrolling. And if they didn't know how to stop it with a Control-C or whatever it was, it would just stay there all day. The first computer hacking I ever did.
This is your first hack is burning your. You never forget your first hack.
Burning your name into a green monitor. Yes.
So you were like, "Hey, this is so much more fun than drawing."
Yes, but with BASIC you could draw too. It drew objects and everything. It was crazy powerful for its day. But this was 1980s, maybe early 90s technology. Really early 90s Windows came into play, and then you got your MS Paint.
But before you realized you weren't a great artist, you had 10 years where you thought, I'm a pretty good artist, right? As you're a kid, right? As you're working through school. What kind of stuff? So were you drawing your own comics?
Oh, yes.
Did you have a particular character?
It's usually something in the D&D range.
Yeah?
I don't remember.
Making
exactly.
a knight or a troll and stuff like that?
A dwarf. It's usually a dwarf. They were the go-to character.
Really?
Gimli fan, from Lord of the Rings. Kind of. Yeah.
I drew a comic book called Super Max, and it was about my dog at the time, who was a Dalmatian named Max. And it was just a really jacked anthropomorphic dog.
I love this.
With a cape and a blaster. That's
great.
And it had all these villain characters in it. I rediscovered it a year ago, and I keep waiting to when each of my kids kind of reach a certain age, I'm like, check this out. And they're never impressed at all.
The earliest thing I can remember drawing, there was a couple things. I was obsessed with Kit from Knight Rider. So there was a smart car usually going across the desert, usually a desert wasteland, probably based on some old like DOS-based video game or something. I'm sure I was fanficking.
Spy Hunter? Did you ever play Spy Hunter?
Absolutely played
Yeah.
Spy Hunter.
Can you hear the music in your
Yeah,
head?
dun, 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 yeah.
Did you ever play Spy Hunter, Mitch?
A lot of these references are just a
Sorry.
little before my time.
I think Spy Hunter was OG Nintendo.
It's great. I
Right?
mean, arcade Spy Hunter. They had a
yeah.
thumping bass to the cabinet. Like it was loud. The music was loud. You knew where to go find it. Galaga was my favorite.
Was it? Which one's that one?
Galaga's it's a space shooter. So
Were you
have a
scrolling
ship
along the bottom?
along the bottom, and like a little white spaceship. You would shoot bugs that were attacking, and then eventually you would intentionally let one of the bugs tractor beam your ship up to it, and then you would try to just shoot it and not the ship it captured. So you end up with two ships that were firing two bolts of lasers. Is this sounding familiar at all to you, or am I?
Vaguely, I was never good enough to do that.
Well, if there's any
that game,
Galaga,
so.
I'm sorry, I didn't. If there's any Galaga players out, they know exactly what I'm talking about. They're hearing the sounds.
All right, so the artist, the pinball / Galaga wizard, that is Jason Perkins.
That's me.
Backs his way into technology.
Yeah, literally.
Even though we're learning, it's kind of shaped your early life.
Yeah, I was literally a graphic designer. I was mostly taking other artists' artwork and putting those into layouts because I didn't have the chops to be the illustrator. But I ended up basically we were at the early days of desktop publishing, so I was helping people figure out how to use Photoshop, and back then it was PageMaker before InDesign came along, and Quark Express. Like I just helped to figure out how to pull off certain layouts, and then over time that just like, hey, you need to just continuously do that for the entire staff, not actually working on layouts yourself. So then I had to build servers, and those servers would serve all the artwork to these people at the same time. It just kept snowballing from there.
Were you happy with the transition? Were you was it exciting for you, or is it just? I mean, you know what? Paychecks are nice.
Paychecks are nice. I think there's always that, what split in the timeline happened, and would I have been an artist of some level? But no, I'm happy where I'm at. I don't have any bitterness for having gone towards technology. I think it well suited me. Yeah.
So you're spending time at Millicron. Like, did you get to progress up out of the basement in the bomb shelter, or you just?
Well, Millicron.
One day you dug your way out.
It's exactly.
You dug your way out.
I did. Yeah. Oh wow. Back to the arcade games. Yeah. No. They sort of function in silos. So we were like a media department. So there was only so much you could do in that sort of mini company. And then we actually were a wholly owned subsidiary of Millicron at one point that got sold off to a private owner. So that's, I guess, how I dug my way out, is that we became our own company. And then, it just expanded from there.
What, for you, is the draw to technology?
I think there's still the creative aspect of it that still exists for me. I don't think it's just a pure, I just love tech. It amazes me. It does amaze me. But this creating something out of nothing is amazing. So if you become a developer, which I did eventually become a developer, where you're writing code to create things to happen on screen, you're literally starting with something as simple as a notepad, a text-only application, and you can use that to write code. I mean, there's better tools than that these days, of course, but you can use that to write code and then suddenly make things appear on screen, graphics, text, a whole adventure. A touch screen like here at the museum where you can interact with 3D objects. Like all of that comes with just writing some code on screen. I think that's the most amazing part of technology, and technology is nothing without the code, frankly. So at least in this day and age.
I am just now realizing this because you talk about writing code, but no one is, these touchscreens, no one's just reading a script and then flipping the page. It's interactive. It's
right.
A lot of it is gamified in some way. So I'm having this realization that every TV show, every movie you see it's just a script on a page, and someone has to write that and say this is what they kind of build that environment.
Yep.
And then someone else is bringing that to life in a way. But it all starts with kind of words on a page. So coding is coding kind of the same way? You're creating that environment and that script, and then programs sort of say, got it, I got the vision. Boop.
I would say that's a very good way of putting it. I haven't thought about it that way. But let me attach a couple terms to what you're saying.
There you go.
So you write a script, and that script references other resources. So you have a graphics department that has to create your title cards for the beginning of the movie, or they create 3D graphics for VFX in the movie. So you write basic script that connects to a library that's specifically for displaying 3D objects. So that's your visual effects department in the movie world. So as you're writing a script, you're handing out duties to different libraries and you're pulling them in. And then you're creating functions that reference those libraries. So yeah, you're sort of writing this like main script that references all the departments and their expertise. And then that brings it back and outputs a final product. So yeah, that's a very, very good way of putting it. Good job, Cody.
Thanks. All right, let's keep the analogy train rolling.
Okay, sure.
All right. So you talk about coding, and people think of IT, and people who are not very tech savvy, they probably just lump it all together. And more, I think a lot of people think IT, and they're like, cool, tech support.
Mm-hmm.
My computer's broken. I can't get this. Everything I type is all uppercase. What happened to my computer? I think it has a virus. But I mean, obviously, IT is much more broad than that. I mean, just because someone has a toolbox, they could be a plumber, they could be an electrician, they could be a carpenter, they could be a welder, like this whole range. So, what are the different worlds of IT? So, talking about your team here at the Museum Center, how does that break down to give someone some insight into what the IT department really does and what it's comprised of?
Yeah, that's a good way of describing. You were describing hardware support. So that's also very important, because if we don't have input devices that are working correctly, you can't really use the software. So anything hardware related, like the keyboard not working, like in your example, that's I think that gets a lot of attention because that's where you have a physical person that's coming to help you with your computer or your printer. So you see that out in the front of office sort of situation. But in the back office situation, there is a lot of these days at least, there's a lot of development going on. When I say development, that's coding, essentially. So yeah, we have managers and directors of IT. They handle hardware and some networking things in the background. Because we have here at Union Terminal, we have fiber optics cable ran everywhere, so there's equipment that actually drives the light beams through that and drives the data through that has to be supported, and that fiber optics network hooks into a whole slew of wireless access points, which that's also hardware that has to be maintained, and that's broadcasting internet and network connectivity to everyone. So that's a mix of hardware and a little bit of software. And then we have an on-site developer. I was actually the senior developer here for a while before I took on this position. But we have a developer that helps to connect these systems together using APIs. And APIs are just pieces of software that help one server talk to another server, essentially.
What's API stand for?
I am not going to answer any acronym questions in this interview. I'm sorry. Because I can't keep them straight. I can't.
I told you very clearly there would be no acronym questions.
No, I had this in my contract.
What they do. That's the important thing.
An API is kind of like a translator.
It's like application program interface, I think, is what API is.
You could tell me anything.
Awesome progressive inputs is what API means, of course.
It's kind of like a Rosetta Stone for all these different programs, and that it.
Well, it's a little bit opposite of that, because you're actually developing a language or a specific connection between two systems.
So it's like what you and your brothers would develop growing up, like a code
words.
Yeah.
Yes, and it needs to be, because it needs to be secure, so your mom doesn't find out.
Exactly.
Yeah. I was just describing the department. So we have a reporting person that, in my perspective, is also a developer. They are working on SQL statements to pull information from databases and present it in a visual way so we can consume and we know what's going on with our organization.
Because everyone today is, so what's the data say? Let's look at the data.
Right.
Let's do the research. And it's often a foreign language for people, or there's pieces missing. It's like looking at it through a keyhole, or it's a puzzle. And this person is responsible for putting those puzzle pieces together, from pulling them from different places and putting the puzzle together so you can say, oh, that's what the picture's telling us.
We everyone, not just our organization, but everyone struggles with that. And one of the things that we're working on right now is how do we organize all of our digital assets? So we have someone working as a digital asset manager to project manage on how to keep all of that organized, because there's just so much data to sort of sift through, and we need API connections to connect systems to each other to talk together, and then we need to kind of pull all that together into one data entity that we can go and talk to and search, and not have to search 5 different places to find what email had what contract on what day that we need to review.
There are a lot of ways in which the museum, and a lot of museums are similar to any other business. I mean, every business has someone who is looking at their IT for security reasons and performance reasons, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's fascinating when these moments where you figure out how interconnected all these things are.
Everything is strangely connected with quote unquote technology these days. The BAS system, which is, don't ask me what it stands for, building something system, I'm sure. That is what we use to manage all the temperatures across the whole building. It's network connected. If the network's not working, I guess they have to go pull comically large levers to turn the air conditioning for everyone. Phones require the network. Ticketing system is dependent on the network. All of it. Printing, emails. Now, we can kind of get by with hotspots and using cellular data for a little while. And we have backup systems to do that for ticketing systems, so we can keep selling tickets and people can keep coming in the door. And like I said, there's big switches that you can pull to keep the air cool. But yeah, it's all interconnected because we have such a large facility. You can't run around and press all the switches manually. You have to remotely control them.
For a lot of people, I don't think they realize this, because at home, if you have a problem with your internet or something, you just unplug and plug it back in, which anytime you throw that in a chat, hey, everyone, we have an issue with this. Here comes me being very helpful. Did you try unplugging it, plugging it back in?
But Cody, you're not. That is like the number one troubleshooting. Turn it off, turn it back on again.
Well, it's like if you're in a bad mood or something, maybe you just take a nap and you wake up and you're in a better mood. You unplug yourself and you plug yourself back in. It kind of works.
Yeah.
But at home, people, it's internet and all that stuff. IT is like, everything is so connected. But imagine if your fridge stopped working if your Wi-Fi went out.
Mm-hmm.
If it was in a dead spot in your house or something like that. Imagine if you couldn't use your stove or your oven, if you couldn't turn the water on because the IT, that one doesn't work. But
no, that does, give yourself credit.
Yes.
That does work, because we should be considering internet access, in my opinion, this is Jason's opinion, as a utility, a network interconnectivity, and really internet as a utility, because if a tree falls on a line and your electricity goes down, your refrigerator doesn't work and your food goes bad. Now, I'm not saying that, I'm not advocating that it also be dependent on a second thing, that's data and internet, but I do think that we have some crucial tools that are internet driven that we need to have access and uptime being near 100%, just like we expect electricity.
Well, and it's all the nature of the business too. I mean, if you are maybe you're a restaurant, you're more likely to have a backup generator than you would at home or something like that. Mm-hmm. And so there are just so many considerations, especially as part of a museum. And I also think it's interesting because you think of museums and you say, oh, old stuff, fossils, would you got to plug those in, make those work and things.
Sure.
But just some of the ways that the museum is connected from a collections perspective. We already talked about making sure that we can maintain temperature and humidity levels and controls. Exhibit lighting when you walk in, that's a big part. And we pay attention to exhibit lighting, exhibits that are really well lit. And I'm not saying bright, but the lighting matters, and they can just scale exhibits up so much. But a lot of that is controlled on a system, right? We can dial levels up and down and kind of play with things in certain ways, right?
I mean, consider even safety concerns. We have guests and they need proper lighting. We have multiple levels in this building where you walk down all these beautiful ramps and seeing all these exhibits as you go. There isn't daylight coming in the windows. So if controls for that aren't available, and they are controlled via the network. Now, we do, again, there's, I don't want to make it sound scary that we lose control if we lose access to the internet. That's not true. Basic lighting comes on automatically and stays on. Like, we stay safe. But all of the presentation part that you just mentioned is very important to make sure people can see what they've come here to visit, and they can see the pathway in front of them to walk to the next thing. I mean, that is all very important, and it all has to be controlled, because there's no easy way to walk through our whole building and just turn all the lights on and turn all the lights back off again and stay responsible environmentally to how much electricity we're using. Like, that all needs to be managed.
Right. We're also in a customer performance business as well. So that performance matters, because if you go through and all the interactives are, sorry, this is unavailable right now, or the screen's frozen, or it's glitched out, or something like that, that impacts someone's experience.
Sure.
And so that's not something that is just, that's always a simple and easy fix. So talk to us about some of those interactives that people will see. Who develops those, and how are those maintained? So
there's a variety of answers to that one. We develop some in-house. We work with the exhibits team to develop those here. We like to, as much as possible, have code here. The reason why is that gives us flexibility. If new scientific facts come out or something happens, we can update information on those interactives. Also, we have partners in the exhibit design and build community that we work with to also create those touchscreen experiences and other types of digital experiences. And we try to work hand in hand with them so that we can also make those edits in the future if needed. Sometimes we don't have enough time and capacity to do it in-house, so we obviously go out and ask for help with that. But yeah, that's a lot of that is maintained internally, and some of it is partners that we seek out to help us. Yeah.
That's what I think is fun about getting to talk to people, across the organization. Is it's a business like anything else. I mean, you can be a coder and you can work for any number of industries. You can also be a coder and work for a museum, which is true. Really awesome. And it's not just for the back of house business use and things like that. It is from a guest perspective and enjoyment opportunity that people can do this work. We have accountants that you have to be a skilled accountant, but you get to do that here, and you get to hey, how do I code this? How do I code the mileage to go pick up this mastodon skull from 4 states over, and things like that? So it is really interesting as you visit the museum and you kind of pause and take a step back and think, how did all of this come together? Who were the people that make this all run, make it all work?
And on that note, how did you end up here at Museum Center, Jason?
Oh, I've actually been around for a while. I was my own business.
You've just been sitting by the servers for a while, just waiting for someone.
Yeah, exactly. I just sat by the servers and hoped someone would come by. No, I started my own business back in the year 2000, and I have, through different connections, I was asked to come in to help support actually the Apple Mac computers that were here, because at the time the IT was more specialized in Windows, and I was one of those external partners we just talked about, how sometimes with exhibits we have an external partner. Well, I was someone who came in that had a specialty with IT services on the Mac, and I would come in on a weekly basis and just make sure the Macs were up and running and answer questions and troubleshoot any problems they were having with their software. And that developed into a relationship where I started to do more development for the website and other database needs. And so, yeah, from the year 2000 on up till I started actually working here, I had some connection year over year with CMC and just doing various technologically related tasks. So, yeah, and then I decided one day that I was tired of being a business owner and dealing with all that. Well, COVID happened, frankly, and that gave an opportunity to work from home, but it also gave an opportunity for a lot of the employees that I worked with. They wanted to rethink their careers as well, so we all just sort of talked it over, and I reduced my company down to being just a few people. And then after a while, an opportunity showed up here where I could join full time, so I opted for that. And I still work with a lot of my former employees as contractors here, That's dwindled down over time because people have progressed in their careers, which is fabulous. But yeah, that was the history of it. So it was this weird, long, winding road. But I've always been lurking in the background, Cody.
What
in the core.
That's what's funny is some people were here. They've been here for 5 years or something, and hey, everyone, meet Jason Perkins, and they'll talk about something. I built that
Right
20 years ago. You've been in our network, in our system, poking around for 2 decades, for 2.5, right?
And really, I've only worked here 3 years, so it's this weird juxtaposition where, but you've only been here 3 years. It's like, but it's more like 23 years, but not really. So it's a little strange.
But I mean, I remember this is, I don't know, maybe 2016. Coming out to your business, and just like being blown away by what you were showing us. To me, the only way I can relate it was like, hey, do you want to see what it's like to develop a video game? Let me show all these things and all these levels. I'm like, this is amazing.
Yep.
And I looked at someone and I go, I don't know why I'm here, but this is very cool. And I remember that, but I also remember you helping to rebuild the Museum Center's website before you were officially a member of the museum team, which feels like it's like, well, he's not a real team member here, but you were for a very long time.
I mean, no one ever made me feel that way. Like, I was included on large boardroom meetings about the website and other parts of our renovations here. But I did concentrate on my part, which was mostly like digital.
Did it feel like, I always remember growing up, we would rent a video game. This is a very video game heavy episode. We'd rent a video game and you'd have to watch your brother or your friend play it, and it would just drive you nuts because you're like, why doesn't he just go that way? Just go that way. And then it's finally your turn. Like, all right, here we go. Watch and learn, everyone. Is that how you felt when they said, great, here's your badge, here's your office, welcome aboard, and you're like, finally.
You are not off, because I lobbied for even a vendor badge for the longest time. Like, nah, just walk on in. They know you here, and I would find my way to where I needed to be for a meeting. So that was me for the longest time. So yes, when I actually had a badge for the first time, it was amazing.
I was walking with Elizabeth today, and she goes, "Where's my badge?" And I said, "At this point, can't you just get it like implanted into your palm and just palm the readers?" I would do that if that was an option.
No, right? Yes, I do want to inject things under people's skin. That sounds amazing. I don't think so, but
all right, well,
this will never happen. But it's like, there's something we can do with our phones, because like maybe if, like RFID on our phones, because we're rarely walking away without our phones. I would love to do that, but not skin and under the skin implants. That seems a little extreme. I mean,
it is wild to think though that in a building like Union Terminal, which is itself 92 years old at this point, that so many of the doors are badged, and so you can securely move through the building or cordon areas off. So when we bring in a new exhibition, we can change the badge coding for the gallery. That way, as very sensitive artifacts and things like that are coming in, you kind of lock people out of it. So you can secure the gallery, and then, great, everything's in. Next day, you can just boop, 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 change the permissions rather than saying, all right, who all has keys? Give those all back, or we got to change the locks and things like that.
Another network technology thing that gets covered by us.
It is
in my department.
It is. Is it stressful? Is it just like high anxiety?
There is sort of this initial when you realize it, but I think over time, I don't want to say it's callousness, but you just sort of realize that it's going to be what it is. It's either going to run or it's not going to run, and we're going to react to it. And I'm not trying to be so blasé about it. We do monitor things. We have a partner that actually helps us monitor 24/7 in case something goes down. So I don't have to sit there and like hit refresh on the screen and look at reports all day. Someone will reach out to me if something's detected in a call center that's watching it 24/7. So it's a mix. It's a little bit of stress, a little bit being on guard, but then I think mostly you just sort of get used to it. Let
me pull the mask off for a minute. Is there something that you
This is making me nervous.
you're looking at internet usage or something through the building, like you're watching these kind of spikes and falls, right? I mean, things like what are you looking at? What do you have access to that you're like, this is so fascinating?
You're opening. I feel like you're trying to pry into what I know and what I don't know about what's going on in the building, which is not. We don't have time to sit and just ooh, who's going into what door?
But do you ever look and you're like, can you tell this is the highest internet usage in the building on a Tuesday or something like that?
Yes. I mean, but that's in general. Like the whole building. I don't think we can necessarily break it down department by department. Like, ooh, those marketing folks are really hitting it hard with their streaming video. There's nothing I don't think there's really anything. But for us to monitor that.
Do you look and you're like, okay, it's 9:30. We see a little dip. This is a coffee break, and then it spikes, and then 30 minutes later it's a dip again because that's when you have to break because of the coffee, and then up and down.
I've worked for multiple organizations, meaning I've contracted with them, and I've actually been employed by them, where look, a huge increase in network usage at the lunch break or right before the holidays or Black Friday because everyone's at work online shopping. And this is back now, and some of this was back in the day when home internet was dial up at best or nothing at all. So people would come to work on Black Friday and just hit their internet connection hard. You would see it. You would see the uptick. So there's less so of that since broadband's a lot more available. And obviously, since I started this, phones became a thing. So people just get on their phones and shop, and that hits more the cellular network most of the time. I mean, you would definitely see spikes.
I'm sorry, I asked. I wanted to be kind of silly about it.
I am spying on you. Yes. That's what you want to know. I know.
Every now and then
I know typing, every file you delete.
I'm typing and I'll see it changing where you're all of a sudden I take my hands off the keyboard. It's like a Ouija board.
My favorite thing to do is to trigger unexpected restarts for Windows updates that you have to wait on about 5 minutes before your meeting. That's my favorite thing. I'm being sarcastic. So please understand.
any staff listening, and I'm sure other people, this happens all the time where you have scheduled updates and things like that. And I talked to you about it. I think it's always on a Wednesday.
It's always on Wednesday.
And I am terrible because I have so many tabs and so many things open. It's like I need to start planning Tuesday to start closing windows and saving documents and things. And I talked to you about this, and you said the thing people always complain about it, and I always say, "Well, did it warn you it was going to do it?" And they just kind of walk away.
That is exactly what happens.
Right?
It does. It gives you 10 warnings before it forces the reboot. And to be fair to us, that's kind of set on a timer. We're not hitting the button, but it's also it's a security precaution. So if you don't run your updates, then it puts the whole organization at risk. And so they're usually security updates. We're not doing it just to add a different color to the palette that you can choose for the color of your pointer. It's not.
Wait, can you do that?
Yes. Pointer settings.
I've got.
You can change the color, make it bigger.
I got a new box of crayons recently, and I've got some thoughts.
If you use multi-monitor, my favorite thing I found was there's these concentric circles. I don't remember the name of the setting, but if you double tap Control, this is in Windows. Sorry for Mac users, but you can set it to where sorry, Mitch. When you double tap the Control, it just does this concentric circles, radar kind of thing from your mouse pointer, so that you can find on screens. So if you have these big 2 or 3 screens, it helps you find it. Where's my pointer? And you just tap.
That's true. That actually would be helpful.
Can we start the technology tips podcast from CMC?
Yes, absolutely.
I can bring a couple. Wait, I'm going to derail us for 1 second.
Yes, all right.
It was written into my contract that I would get to talk to Mitch about Star Trek for at least some portion of this thing.
I do remember seeing that. So
it's technology adjacent.
There. Yeah.
By all means.
We're gonna put the brakes on.
This is Star Trek portion.
Favorite Star Trek series?
Ooh, favorite series. It's kind of a toss up.
Not best, but your favorite.
It's kind of a toss up between Next Gen and Deep Space Nine for me.
Okay, that's a fair answer.
Yeah,
the next generation. The next generation for me. Deep Space Nine is heralded as a really innovative series starting in the 90s for Star Trek in general, because it kind of went to more serialized plot. But I still have a warm spot in my heart for Next Generation over Deep Space Nine. But Deep Space Nine is really good.
I haven't actually watched every Star Trek all the way through because that's like over 1,000 hours of television or something like
I
that.
have.
You've
Yes,
made it? All right.
I'm caught up
I'm working
with
on
everything.
Are you really?
I've watched The Next Generation probably 4 times over, easily.
I'm currently watching the original series the whole way through for the first time. I've seen pieces of it here and there, but
This is a question to each of you. Mitch, you know this. We've been doing, Mount Rushmores. I want to change it up. I'm going to do who is each of your Snap, Crackle, and Pop of Star Trek characters.
Snap, Crackle,
Snap,
and
Crackle,
Pop.
and Pop?
Yeah, you've got.
What's
So
the personality types?
Just three
It's
instead
three
of 4?
instead of 4. All right,
Okay.
who's out there asking for the Snap, Crackle, and Pops? This is our thing now.
This is our thing now.
Okay, but what's there? Is there a
established.
character type
No, it's just
per Pop? Does Pop a certain type of person, or
So, all right, we do not have time to get into it, but yes, there are personality types based on Snap, Crackle, and Pop.
Okay.
But in general, who's your Star Trek Snap, Crackle, and Pop?
Well, I have to put Picard in there because Patrick Stewart plays him so wonderfully, and he evolved from all business to someone that could have fun and also still be like the master diplomat, in a situation. Also a warrior, like he could fight with the best of them. So that's one. You're making it hard. I don't know. I'm very Next Generation, so it's a little hard for me to
That's all right.
reach out outside of that. Spock would have to probably be in there just because of intellect and his fighting. That he's half human, half Vulcan. And then this is not a favorite character. I'm gonna throw Garrick in there because he's from Deep Space Nine and he is basically a spy that's been thrown out of his home world and has to live
As a simple tailor?
Yeah, he's just a tailor, tinker spy. He has to live as a tailor. He's been ousted by his government. I don't know. He's just a great character. I'm throwing him in there because I feel like he's an unsung hero that was this like low hum in the Deep Space Nine series the whole time, and I just found him amazing.
Mitch?
All right, a little bit repetitive, but I'm also going to go with Picard and Spock. But I'm going to go with Boimler from Lower Decks for my third one.
Sorry.
I really enjoyed Boimler. He's a little bit more relatable than some of these people who are kind of like the top of their game, top like perfect people who have worked their way up and now they're the captain of the flagship of the Federation. Boimler is really ambitious, but he's also kind of awkward and nervous, and he tends to fumble, and yeah, very relatable.
He's a good choice. I have to say Lower Decks may have become my second favorite series above Deep Space Nine. I don't know. That might be a controversial hot take. For
I love Lower Decks, so
Lower Decks is so
I'm not
great.
I'm not gonna argue with you.
All right.
Before we bounce off Star
Yes.
Trek,
Yeah.
real quick,
Yeah.
bringing it back around to tech. As a tech person, how do you feel about Star Trek, tech, and technobabble?
Technobabble is wonderful. But I would be terrible at it. Like that would, if I ever had to act on a Star Trek show, I would be the worst. If I was there in real life, I would also be the worst. If it was a real
Would
thing.
that be because you're like trying to figure out what is this thing I'm talking about? Like reverse the polarity on the deflector dish.
I would get myself confused the moment I said it. I love it though. I'll listen to it all day, but I don't want to have to say it.
As you're coding, do you ever find yourself like imagining that you're coding something to like make the deflector shield stronger or something? Like, do you ever put yourself in a scenario that
Yes.
gets amped up? Do you?
Oh yeah. You always imagine it's like what am I doing here that is like making the system stronger, more resistant to fire. I know in my own brain that since I was a little kid on a 10 speed, that was warp 10. So like I would shift the 10 speed up and I was shifting into different warp factors. So I know that's just carried through into adulthood. It's just so ingrained. I was probably 9, 8, 9, 10 when I got introduced to the original series, and it's just always been there.
All right. So if you could trade roles with anyone here at the museum for a day, I want to do this as a two-parter. Whose job would you want to do? And the second part, who would you want to do your job?
Okay, so I listen to your podcast regularly, and I thought I'd be prepared for this
It's
question.
ours. You're here. It's.
I
it's
listen
the museum's.
to the museum's podcast regularly, and I thought I'd be prepared for this, and I am not. I think it was Catherine Gould who stole my answer, which was I would be CEO for a day, appropriate the funds to all the stuff I want to do, and then go back to my normal job, which I really like that answer because she was bending the universe to her will.
Pretty slick.
So that's my first choice. If I could have that version, I would cheat off of her homework. I think, believe it or not, Erica's job, because
Schultz
I
or
like
Wainwright.
Wainwright.
Okay.
I don't know her title exactly, but it's exhibits related.
Yes.
And I have had a taste of working on some exhibit design and definitely doing interactives for exhibits. But mine was always a very blinders on narrow task. Like, you're going to create this touch screen, or you're going to create a computer screen with a physical wheel attached. And when you turn that wheel, it steers a ship through an interactive. Like, mine was always a very specific project task, but I would like to be part of like a larger like exhibit design. But I don't want to do it right when they're about to install an exhibit. I want to be part of like the design and creative process, and then I want to ditch out of that process after that.
Because yes, Erica Wainwright does manage our exhibits team for installs, fabrication, all that stuff. Also involved in all the logistics and everything of bringing in featured exhibitions, stuff like that. So yeah,
There's a bit of all her department, I think
Yeah.
I'm describing, though, not just her. So I would say be a part of that department.
who would you want to do your job?
Who would I want to do my
Now
job?
this is good because you could
you
you could let someone see what all
So
goes on, or you could punish someone by saying watching them flail.
you were my next pick for me doing a job. So like if I were other than Erica,
I
because
feel threatened with my job security.
no, I
but,
just no, I mean it. I for a day is much different than doing it for years on end. But I just think it would be fun to. I've worked in marketing collateral industry where we were creating the printable stuff and the signage and the large format signs for folks like you, but I was never at that end of it where I was helping to make some of the creative decisions on that. So you were my second pick. Sorry you came in second. Close
okay.
second. But I think it
Listening
would
from
be
a third.
funny if you had to do my job for a
it would
day
be- yeah.
on a good busy day. I think that would be great.
It would. I want to do this sometime. I just want to shatter you now.
You should.
Say, what would you do?
The thing is like sometimes you're
What
just
happens if you
sitting.
click that, but don't click that button?
I think, I mean, most of the time you might be bored at a desk watching maybe a little bit of coding and a little bit of reports and finance stuff. But
All right, you know this question's coming. The
I
last
do.
question. If you had a walk-up song, what would it be? And given your uncanny likeness, would it be a Tom Petty song?
it wouldn't be a Tom Petty song. I'm sorry to say.
Mitch, do you think he looks like Tom Petty?
It's there.
Oh,
Yes.
Okay, great.
Is that a compliment or is it
Oh,
a
I don't
neutral?
have a problem
Okay.
with that. Yeah, Tom Petty's great. Was great. Poor guy.
Not according to Mark Borison,
Yeah.
but
Oh wait, there's a conspiracy
back.
that Tom Petty's still around.
no, but
If you listen to
Not
our
a great
Mark
guy.
Borison podcast, he had a unfortunately bad interaction with Tom Petty at a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame event.
listen. We could redo this for him. He could have a lovely interaction with Tom Petty. We can make this happen.
Wait, who had the bad I missed
Mark Borison, he hosts the Jungle Gyms podcast and is their chief shenaniganizer.
Okay.
I believe. Yeah.
Nice.
So, okay, your walk-up song would be.
This is gonna sound terrible, but I want to be sedated. I want to be sedated, not
Yeah.
want to. It's I want to be sedated by the Ramones. Now
That's a good one.
It's not about it. It's about energy to the song, and I don't really take it as like a drug use kind of thing, because again, someone can fact check me on this, but I think the origins of the song, by what Joey Ramone has said, is that their manager had them running like 360 days a year and like 5 or 6 days off a year maximum is all they would get. And it was about like they were tired, yes, and they would want to be sedated. But half the song is about hurry, get me to the show. I'm going to go loco. Like they're trying to get to the show. And I think where it's sourced is they wrote the song when they finally made it to London. They're like, great, we're in London. We've made it. We're going to get to tour around here. But they arrived during the holiday season. And apparently back then, just the sidewalks were rolled up, just shut down. There was nothing to do. They ended up like in their hotel watching American movies is what they ended up doing. And so they were kind of being driven nuts simultaneously about, we've been moving, we've had all this momentum, and now we don't know what to do with ourselves. And I really relate to that because I do feel like I'm fairly reasonably busy all the time.
Yeah.
And once I do get a pause moment, there are times where I feel like I don't really know what to do with myself when I have a little bit of free time. But also, I just love the Ramones and their energy, so I'm going to go with that.
That's a good one, though. We're going to figure out a way to incorporate these walk-up songs into people's lives somehow. Is there... Man, can we make it so that when people log into the computers, it plays?
I would love that. I think that's possible. That might need a little hackery, though.
Now, the natural thing would be that people would be able to set their own. I don't know why my mind immediately led to, and we'll give you the list of everyone's song, and you code that for them, but...
So we have badges at each door. So every time they badge at a door, just we need to install a speaker, and it reads off the database what their walk-up song is, and that gets played over a speaker near whatever door they're walking
That'd be
into.
cool.
That'd be pretty close to what I think would work. Although it would play for nobody down. Sometimes at some of our entrances, there'd be no one else around to enjoy it.
But you get to hear your own song. And be
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
That'd be, and then get you pumped up.
I love it. Yeah, we should work on that.
We got there. Jason, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your IT wizardry that makes all this possible, makes this all happen, that allows people to listen to this at their desk in the building because we have this glorious Wi-Fi, among other things. Also, personally, I'm very grateful because whenever we have news crews in now, it used to be they would cable into the news vans, and now they all have backpacks that have all these cell cards in it. And I mean, 10 years ago, less than that, if you're in the featured exhibition gallery, you have no cell service. So we'd be trying to do live shots, and they'd have to put the backpack on the stairs where they get a signal, then run a cable from that. No more. Yeah. Thanks to you.
There's a DAS system. There's a network of antennas just to help out. But do not ask me what DAS stands for.
We said it. There's no acronyms discussed. All right. Jason, thank you. This is a lot of fun. Thank you all for listening to Meanwhile at the Museum. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope you had some fun as well. And if you liked what you heard, please rate, review, and subscribe. But most importantly, come visit us in real life. Have some fun with us. Enjoy what we have here at the museum. Visit cincymuseum.org for the latest reasons to visit. Thank you all for listening. We will catch you next time.